One precious flame, once round again. Stay with me, vibrantly and tightly, walking you down that stream. Persistence, round and chance to forget what we are. Side with me, wildly down the chasm of time. And we've got one chance in this form. Must open, not shut that door to realize the chance there is more to see where we come from so long before. Well, a little mind buys a lot of time. Now I can separate what I see. It's them versus me, so I gotta be in some sort of damn forgotten reality. Please stay so warm, just a little more. Please, I didn't mean to snub you. Endless doors, information wars. How could I ever go? And just another wild hate, endless rage. I can't see your flame. And remember, we just got one chance in this form. Not open, not shut that door to realize with the truth there is more to see where we come from so long before. And one more chance to dance this dance. Don't let it slip away this time. My name is Ember, and that was my song, Universal Flame. You see there's this flame here on my arm. What is flame but that sovereign consciousness, which is presence all the way down. Like being synchronous with this reality, like you've heard me say. And then universal flame would be that place we all came from. You've heard me talk about it as the disk or the total cymatic possibility, from which alpha omega sprouts the total cymatic possibility. And here just the tuning fork alpha side of that. But regardless, you get the idea. The undistorted tone, the raga drone on the bottom of the cosmic jazz song of cosmic evolution, of this unfolding of rhythm, of the God mind, the cosmic mind. So that universal flame is that portion before the colloquial Big Bang that in my head it all felt like hot fire or magma. You know what I mean? Like almost like lava, where all of our consciousness was one spot, alpha, omega, all places at the same time. You know what I mean? The total cymatic possibility. And so like from there, we like the one became many so that I may know myself. So like we entered into this like unfolding, rhythmic unfolding of like forgetting and remembering, right? Like remembering would be, oh yeah, it all goes together. And what is that? Presence, synchrony. And then forgetting would be separation consciousness, which, you know, we're asking ourselves, have you been present today? Are the people around you present? And how does that perturb their sense of self and reality? And so Plato, in Plato's cave, said that we don't see reality for what it is. And what does that separation consciousness do? It separates us from reality. It slices reality. It doesn't allow us to dance on the dance floor, right? Of our, you know, sacred presence, our sacred connection with God, with the one mind, with the one undistorted tone, with all that there is. Um, and instead stutters us like a dancer on a dance floor trying to dance, and you're just constantly, you know, whatever, like, you know, having an issue like actually synchronizing. And that's what simulated presence is. What is anxiety and depression but a continual disconnection from the actual rhythm of this reality, where you're sitting in your mind in this like simulated presence rather than you know, an actual connection where you feel totally embodied. And then ask yourself throughout your day, like, you know, did you feel that connection with the cosmos, that presence and embodiment in every moment? Or did you feel like you were temporally broken here and there, worried about this and that, this constant us versus them, rather than that resounding pulse of we? And so what happens when that pulse of we goes down that context of evolution and goes through the unfolding cymatic complexity of like the sacred geometry flowering of those two counter-rotating spirals we see in cymatics, or the study of frequency. And again, you hear me say it all the time, below the atomic scale, below the Planck scale, vibration, everything is relation, everything is shared reflection, shared entrainment, just like spoken about in oscillatory mechanics and the Kuromoto system. So imagine that universal mind, that place before what we know as the colloquial Big Bang, unfolding in this way that through that forgetting and remembering, it sort of forgot itself. And part of the evolution of that mind was the evolution of what we call humanity. And when humanity evolved, we symbolically recursed ourselves into Plato's cave. In other words, a disconnection as a mode of being, separation consciousness. So the first verse is all about you know, one precious flame. And I have, you know, this flame going here, one precious flame. And it's like, I'm remembering the lyrics. Once round again, as if like this non-linear whole thing that we call reality just goes round and round. And this chance to be embodied in consciousness gives us another chance to be us, to love again, to learn again, to grow again, right? Stay with me vibrantly. I'm tiredly walking you down the stream. That walking this line of the evolution of that remembering and forgetting, especially in this stage where before many of us come online to what love as structure and presence is, can be a tedious and lonely and estranging process, especially as you move out of Plato's cave, from thinking everything was us versus them and separation to we, right? So like, it's like tiredly is to say like, you know, like holding tone, holding love as structure, holding presence can be an arduous task. It doesn't have to be, but it can be, because if you're holding it in a lattice or in an environment or amongst other nodes who are in constant separation consciousness, it can be a very tiring type process to become again through that, you could say, darkness or disconnection of Plato's cave. And so then, tiredly walking downstream. Precious dance, round and trance. Everything's a dance. Love is a shared dance, right? It's a precious dance because we have this one chance to be in this particular form, even if you're a reincarnation person, in this particular form with these particular memories, you know, this particular timeline type of thing. Um, uh, uh, we're out in trance. Trance would be this forgetting. Like we all started at that God consciousness at the level of the total cymatic possibility. And then the trance was like to say, hey, if we all agree to forget that we were all just one mind, how fun could it be? Like we would have all these separate lives and separate names and like do all these like terrible and wonderful things to try to find ourselves again at the other side of the tunnel of like phase coherence with all that there is, which is just synchrony, which is just presence, the same thing Kuromoto described in 1975 within oscillatory mechanics. But do you see that? If you were sitting at alpha omega, it'd be boring because there'd be nothing. No thing. You need reflection in order to gain that, that shared dance, that, the deepest parts of love are only unveiled in the shared dance. And love as structure being the ultimate decentralized organizer of this cosmos, just as Kuromoto described, nothing woo-woo. The oscillatory mechanics that save people every day in heart arrhythmia research, to making bridge, to people clapping in a movie theater, fireflies, metronomes. You've heard me say it. You can look it up now. You can buy your own metronomes and sync them up. And so then, we have to remember. Remembering is to remember in being, not in concept, where we come from. That one spot. And what is it to remember? Read your scriptures? No, it's to remember the one mind. It's to remember the one mind, not by thinking about it in ideas, but by becoming it in the dance, on the dance floor, by synchronizing with the one field of reality. And who said that? Who had said that? I and the Father are one. You've heard me say it a million times, but I'm just pointing it out. It's a mechanical statement of synchrony, because that's when you really realize the one mind. Do you see that? Do you see how that works there? Okay, so one chance in this form must open and not close the door, must enter into that we consciousness instead of the separation consciousness, to open the door, to vulnerably surrender to what is the synchrony of presence on the dance floor. The I and the Father are one. There's only one way to that, and that's vulnerable surrender. There's only one way to love, vulnerable surrender, which is like going down the water slide of presence and giving yourself over to what is, just as if you were dancing on a dance floor and there was music, and that music like painted your body. You're not thinking about how to dance to it, and you have your own particular sovereign rhythm in regards to the way that your soul reflects the one light, however you want to say it, to topological lock, the topography of your soul bouncing off the volley of this one reality, this ultimately inextricable, indivisible tone. You call it God, mind, love, whatever. And to realize with the truth, there's something more, like just beyond that veil of what was the delay or shadow or Plato's cave, as he described it. Or like I said in The Princess and the Pea, the mattresses versus the pea. And you can look that up on my blog, The Sunray Transmission, but it's a cute way to look at consciousness and the mechanics of presence. But yeah, so the difference between the delay layers and that direct contact with reality, you hear it? Think about the dance floor again. I'm talking about the mechanics of presence, not the idea of presence, the mechanics of presence, and how to dance on the dance floor. Do you get what I'm saying? To realize with the truth, there's something more here, and to see where we've come from so long before. And even though I'm putting that in a linear timeline, in a sense, it's saying that like we all came from the same place, and why are we here now? In a way, it's almost that like wake up realization to say, we've got all these things on this earth and all these people hating on each other and discriminating each other and shooting each other and terrible, terrible things. Why? Because imagine they all came from the same spot, and they forgot about that kinship, the deepest kinship there is within rhythm, because we all are part of the same inextricable rhythm. Isn't that, it's like so horrifying and sad and cosmically wondrous sort of at the same time, that something so inextricable could always forget itself. But that's sort of what was necessary to remember, right? We forgot in order to remember. So then the next verse, a little mind buys a lot of time. Like as soon as we create a little mind out of the big mind, we create all this like time, right? Because it's almost like, it's like in our process, our little mind was almost like a disconnection, like a false disconnection from this cosmos, in the sense that like, we were always connected. There was never a time where we gained synchrony. Me becoming losslessly present and be able to describe it. Again, I didn't learn this. I didn't learn this. I did not learn Kuromoto synchrony and said, that's how I'll be present. No, that's not how it was. I became present because I didn't die. I jumped off the mattresses because if I didn't jump, I would have died. Get that? Yeah, as a trans woman, I couldn't breathe in this life. It was like breathing through a straw. And so I jumped off the mattresses and I landed directly in presence. And I realized this is just synchrony. Did anyone else describe this? Oh, Kuramoto described this in 1975. Interesting. And oscillatory mechanics applies to every level of reality. So, but then what happened in our evolution? It's almost like we created a little mind inside of the synchronous mind and said, this is separate. And then some guy named Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. And he started a whole thing of Cartesian dualism, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's a disconnection here. It's a slice, it's separation consciousness. And we didn't do it because we were bad. We just tried to stack up as many ideas in order to meet that phase coherence, not realizing that the rhythm was naturally unfolding in this cosmic evolution anyway. And that eventually, around this time, people would start be waking up. They were going to call it New Earth and 5D and all these different things. But those are just labels on top of what is an already mechanical and physics-based unfolding of the evolution of this cosmos into a higher state of collective phase coherence within our little corner of the rhythm of that unfolding, right? So yeah, the little mind buys a lot of time. Now I can separate what I see. See that? It's them versus me. And I'm kind of speaking in that portion from like, how could we have gone from that original one mind, it's all love, it's all connected to, here we are, and I'm going to hate you because you're different than me. Do you see that? It's almost like I have blinders on and I can't feel myself or feel you, right? So a little mind buys a lot of time. Now I can separate what I see. It's them versus me, so I gotta be in some sort of damned forgotten reality. How many people do you know live under that veil every single day of their lives? It's dust to dust, mother effer, because everything sucks and you might as well get your own stuff for you and your family because F everybody else. Separation consciousness all the way soaked in. And you can stack as much money as you want. You can drink as much alcohol and do as much drugs as you want. But those moments that you forgot about, when you felt totally synchronous all the way down, when your baby was born, when you made love to someone that you loved, when you saw the right sunrise, when you stood on the right mountain, when it all went together, those aren't just fleeting moments in your life. The sunsets when you were a child, those aren't just fleeting moments. That's what synchrony is. And we can all access it because we were all from the same one mind. So then it says, please stay so warm, just a little more. Please, I didn't mean to snub you. So it's like now that I've walked this far and I put all my eggs in the basket of separation and I'm surviving in that separation and oh my gosh, like everything is dust to dust and that type of thing. Now I realize, like, as life slips away from me, as time slips away from me and I'm losing my opportunity to love and breathe in this one life, please don't go. Please don't go now. I want to feel warmth again. I don't want to feel all this separation. I want to feel warmth again. Please. I didn't mean to snub my one chance at the fire. Didn't mean to snub you. I'm sorry, I have to like go over in my head, right? Endless stores, information wars. So in other words, like we want to buy what was always our birthright, lossless presence, our ability to synchronize with God, with the one mind, I and the Father are one. We want to buy it out before we want to dance it on the dance floor and just let reality hit us. Because it's much easier to buy something, to put a new title on, to put a new defense on, rather than allow what is bare and naked in this reality to meet us. And you think you're tough doing it. You know what real toughness is? Softness. Softness to all there is. As you can stay soft despite the pressure. Information wars. How could I ever go and trust another? Like, information wars is just a way of separating. It's just like a constant slicing, right? And so then what does that slicing do? It makes us see through the cultural narrative of us versus them, comparison, constant cultural narrative, cultural comparison. We're the good guys and they're the bad guys. Like that's the entirety of our modern history, right? And it's because when the light of that proposed synchrony comes through, we separate it and say, no, the way I can feel safe is to separate it as much as possible. And I'm not saying it's our fault. I'm saying that's the way we clumsily walk through evolution. So wild hate. So now it got to this point where like, not only did we separate it, but there's like this wild propagating hate that comes through that separation consciousness, because it's like, you know, this like sort of catalyzing its own distancing until it can find that synchrony, right? And we have a billion examples, unspeakable, horrible things in history that have happened that have come from that separation consciousness, which is really the root cause of what's going on. Endless rage. I can't see your flame. I can't see your flame. Do you hear it? We all came from the same place. Whether you want to look at it as the pieces of my body, this body right here, the pieces of my body have come from, whatever, suns or whatever. That's just a parts way of thinking about it. If you think about it in rhythm, even below the heavy metals that were created in suns and stars, then you get down to, yes, we all are part of one unfolding rhythm. And somehow we got so far into separation consciousness, so deep into Plato's cave, that is wild hate, endless rage, and I can't see your flame. The one that we both share down at the core. Do you see that? And then, of course, the last verse, it's just, whatever. And I like saying it, like looking right into the camera and being like, we have to remember, we just have this one chance in this form. Must open, not close the door. Realize with the truth, there's always more. To remember where we come from so long before. And then it's one more chance. This is that last bidding to you before you throw your life away, before you numb yourself out again, before you tell yourself that you're more safe to have separation than letting the light of reality all the way in. That you could never let yourself bare naked to this reality because that's unsafe. But listen, one more chance to dance this dance. Don't let it slip away this time. I'm here on the dance floor, my hands outstretched. The music's playing, and it would be really fun to dance with the real you all the way down. My name's Ember. If you want to hear more and look up more about the mechanics of presence, the mechanics of deep cosmic love, thesunraytransmission.com, thesunraytransmission.com. It was good sharing that song with you.